Welcome. My name is Opubo Benebo. Operating a landmass as a farm, whether subsistence farming or large-scale industrial farm, has the ultimate goal of getting the farm operational for farming, producing farm produce for consumption, and such is now the object. This starting up of the farm does not in any way mean the function tasks such as provisioning water, fertilizer production, and generating electric power that have so far been performed exhaust the necessary function tasks, but rather that the tasks were implicitly divided into two groups, the critical needs group and the wants group, with the tasks performed so far in the pre-start focus being on the needs group. In synopsis then, this episode entitled Starting Up the Farm profiles a didactic procedure for constructing the tasks that need to be performed as constituting the starting up of the farm, the sequencing of the performing of the tasks, and the approach to eliminating all dependencies between the tasks through sequencing fine-tuning that eliminates the concurrency dependencies as to allow only consecutiveness for a smooth execution of the tasks. The driver rationale guiding the starting up of the farm has as object the kickstart of the farming activities that need to be performed regularly into a state of routine, and effectively getting the prospective farming operations into a standing operation. Putting the farming operations into a standing operation has several advantages. The salient advantage of farming, a subsistence farming as a standing operation, is that certain activities get to be automated on startup and hence frees the farmer to perform the tasks that are not routine on a scheduled basis. Even far significantly, the status of standing operations addresses the issues of intrinsic concurrencies between the farming activities. Moreover, the farmer gets to perceive of the interactive dynamics of the activities and takes time to refine the overall farming process through various acts of process improvement. Starting up the farm being the systematic kickstart of the various tools and machinery put in place begins with a development of a set of tasks properly sequenced such that all interdependencies are sequenced out. However, one needed function task was not fully constructed earlier for several reasons that will be delineated presently. The mechanism by which fuel is produced and fed to the gas holder, into which obnoxious composting foul gas, and from which the obnoxious gas into the gas burner, was not explicitly disclosed. Strictly, this task could have been lumped together with the generating electric power. However, the choice to address it here is informed by the need to have a better sense of the scope of post-harvest farm biotic waste, and such could not be determined until after the types of crops that will be farmed have been determined, as can be after the matter of deciding the essential crops has been addressed. As noted, putting the performing of this task here is a matter of choice, and therefore the farmer could very well have opted to perform this task earlier and could still opt to perform this task earlier. One other consideration, though, is that each farmer will perform the harvesting according to disposition which can be deemed as the harvesting protocol characteristic of the farm, and the evolution of the protocol will guide the quantity of farm biotic waste left over after the harvest. The attention being paid to the post-harvest waste is based on the prospective use of the farm waste for generating biofuels to feed into the gas holder and flow through to the gas burner. The quantity of the farm waste helps determine the sizing of the vessels in which to produce the biofuels. Notwithstanding the design of the power generation around a volatile foul gas burner with the object of using farm waste for power, there is at this time still the need to kickstart the power generation. So, to develop an energy system, the approach is to consider using the existing design of foul gas burner, but keeping in mind that whatever form of development used should be able to evolve through continual improvement to ultimately use the biotic waste of the farm for the production of the power. Because biotic waste for use is the combination of biogas and ethanol, the starting point will have to be the use of a product that is either a liquid or a gas. A goal then is to increase the capacity for thermal energy generation to meet the needs of the farm. Added to the demand is the choice of fuel to produce for the kickstart, which must be produced with minimal effort. A design biofuel-borne power supply technology embodies a version of the ultimate form of farm waste burner for electricity, and is a good guide suited for this scale of farming endeavor. So whatever the consideration, this design ought to be adopted as guide to inform the decision making. A cursory literary research shows that a fuel that can be readily produced is methanol from forming a mixture of pectin and pectinase, an enzyme. Pectin is abundant in citrus and orange peels, while the pectinase is relatively high in apple. So to produce methanol, the mixture of citrus peels and apple would have to be made to produce methanol. Such identification of tasks begins with the performance of the function task, followed by repeated decomposition of the task into subtasks and some shuffling until a coherent consequential structure obtains. In this regard, the function tasks are the provisioning of water, production of biofertilizers, electric power generation, procurement of the crop seeds for planting. Of course, the performing of the function task does not follow in the order as of the episodic presentation. A general performing sequence is suggested as such. 1. Order for the seed. 2. Generate electric power. 3. Provision water. 4. Produce biofertilizers. 5. Biofertilize the farm ridge's soil. These are, of course, the Tier 1 function tasks, and are rightly Tier 1 as the task actually group several subtasks or activities that must each be performed, and collective of which is the function task. These second-tier tasks then are the subtasks or activities that obtains from the decomposition of each function task. So the decomposition of the function tasks are undertaken presently and consequentially as per the order of delineation above. With respect to the function task 1, order for the seed, the decomposition into subtasks number 2. The first subtask is locate seed sources, the second being place order for seeds, and are taken on in order. First, locate seed sources. The task is to then discover all the garden stores, including the large superstores where seeds of the crops are sold or can be ordered, and document time to delivery from each date. In the rural areas, the farmer may ask neighbors for the seeds of such crops, but leaves the receiving on hold for on demand. So they will set up a schedule for order date based on the delivery data, so that the seeds arrive at time of planting will be determined at the finale of the task sequence. Subtask 2, place order for the seeds. Next, place order according to the order time schedule and get that out of the way. Next comes generating electric power as a function task. The subtasks here are a little more involved, as already indicated, because the tasks are somewhat iterative in nature. Recalling that the initial design of the thermal source for the thermoelectric transducer was incomplete, using only the biofertilizer volatile gas venting, it is necessary to implement the Kickstarter at this point. Even so, for this function task 2, which is generate electric power, the decomposition into subtasks number 5. First one, set up power generation fuel source. The next, start the fuel production. The next, light the fuel gas burner. Switch on the inverter. Then switch on the farm light bulbs. And these are now taken on in order. Step 1. Set up the power generation fuel source. From an engineering design approach, the implementation will entail the purchase of yet another storage tank like the composting bioreactor. One of the pots will be used to feed the mix of peel, orange, citrus peel, and apple, which would be pureed. It will also be heated to about 50 degrees Fahrenheit. The tube extension out of the tank will again be affixed to the composting bioreactor valve gas holder. So now more gas is fed into that tank on a steady basis. And the gas burner gains larger capacity for producing thermal energy from chemical energy source. However, the size of the gas holder tank and the gas burner are adjusted to ensure that the quantity of thermal energy produced is enough to drive the farm equipment when converted into electricity. Starting the fuel production. Well, make a puree of citrus and orange peels and apple on the verge of starting to soften. That is, the apple is on the verge of starting to soften. And then pour that into the storage tank just installed. Increase the release pressure of the check valve that feeds the gas burner. Step 3. After about a week, when enough methanol will have evaporated from the puree and flowed into the gas holder tank, take a long stick match, light the match end, and push it through the pipe set for lightning, and then reduce the check valve pressure to let flow out some of the gas in the gas holder tank. Subtask 4. Switch on the inverter. After the gas burner flame is lit, then switch on the inverter so that it starts to produce electricity. And then check the electrical panel wiring to be sure there are no issues with the wiring. Subtask 5. Switch on the farm light bulbs. With the wiring in the electrical panel not showing any issues, then walk over to the farm switches and turn on the switches for the farm light bulbs and ascertain by observation that these wiring in the farms are also error-free. Now, performing function task 3, provisioning water to the farm. The decomposition into subtasks here, number 4. And the tasks being start the source water pumping mechanism, start the delivery pumping mechanism, check water storage tank for leakages, verify automatic switch off of pumps. And these are also now taken in order. So we go to subtask 1, start source water pumping mechanism. Switch on the source water pumping mechanism. The startup activity of this function task is the ascertaining of water being fetched from the source water, and hence a critical step and determination of the flow from the source is sufficient. Subtask 2, start the delivery pump mechanism. Switch on the delivery pump to ensure that a flow-through occurs. Then shut off the valve of the vent left open to allow the source water flow out until the switch on of the pump. So there is backup. There is no backup and pipe failure issues. Subtask 3. Check the water storage tank for leakages. Inspect the water storage tank and ascertain that water is flowing into it. Then observe at near full stage that the tank has no water leakage issues. Subtask 4. Continue to observe the water level in the tank until shut-off level is reached and ascertain that the flow does not exceed that level and that the source water and delivery pumps have indeed shut off to prevent overflows. Next, attention turns to focus on function task 4, producing the biofertilizers. The decomposition of these tasks into subtasks number 5. The first one is feed biofertilizers input into the bioreactor, remove excess water, churn biotics into granules, water compost per microbe activity guide, churn compost per microbe activity guide, repeat last two subtasks as necessary, and these are now taken on again in order for more detailed explanations. Subtask 1. Feed the input into bioreactor. To boot, open the biofertilizer bioreactor port for feeding the biotic and put in the reactor the biotic bundle selected for producing the biofertilizers. And then open the water port and pour water into the bioreactor as well. Next, remove excess water. So open the drainage pipe at the bottom of the bioreactor and let drain any excess water so the biotics are wet but not remain immersed in water. Subtask 3. Churn the biotic feed into granules. Turn or switch on the chopper motor and let churn the chopper for about 1 minute so the biotics are left in granular state and not pureed. Subtask 4. Water the composite per microbe activity guide. 7 days after performing subtask 3, which is the churning, pour some more measured amount of water yet again into the bioreactor. 7 days is important because microbes take about 7 to 10 days to acclimatize to a new environment and start replication. So by waiting, the acclimatization takes place. Subtask 5. Churn the composite per microbe activity. Following performing the subtask 4 above, turn or switch on the chopper motor again and let churn the chopper for about half a minute. Then turn it off. And 1 minute later, turn it again for another half a minute. So the biotic remain in a granular state and not pureed, yet loosened enough to allow limited aeration, even though the metabolic reaction is anaerobic, meaning near oxygen absent context. Subtask 6 is simple. Repeat subtasks 4 and 5 as necessary. So perform subtask 4 and subtask 5 for another 2 weeks, once a week. The first of the anaerobic digestion reaction should last 7 days, and the next step should last another 7 to 10 days, hence the repeat for 2 more weeks. Now, with the accessory function tasks performed, the function task 5, biofertilize farm ridges soil, addressing the farm proper comes into focus, which decomposition yields 4 subtasks. The first subtask is turn over the farm ridges soil. The second one is moisten the farm ridges soil, and then repeat the last 2 subtasks as necessary. Finally, apply biofertilizers to the ridge soil, and these are now taken on in order again for more detailed explanations. Subtask 1, turn over farm ridges soil. The ridges soil are tilled and mildly turned over to remove the compacting of the soil since created at designing the subsistence farming state. The goal is to ensure aeration. Ridges soil is then watered lightly with sprinkled water without getting it drenched. And here, with the object of learning time span of sprinkling versus degree of wetness, which gives guide on the impact of water sprinkler hole sizes, so a watering protocol may be crafted before the actual start of the farming. Repeat performs of subtasks 1 and 2 weekly, or repeat as deemed necessary through the about 4 weeks that the biofertilizer composting proceeds. Subtask 4. Apply biofertilizers to ridges soil. After the 4-week composting or reaction time, take some biofertilizers out of the bioreactor and then blend them into the ridges soil using the repeat of approach of subtask 2, and then follow up with repeat of the approach of subtask 3. So the soil acquires over, say, another 7 days, the characteristic porous, arable, fertile soil with a mild gooiness as desired. Finally, these subtasks are resequenced in fine-tuning the performing of the task, as some of the subtasks suffer concurrency dependencies. Of particular note is that the subtasks of the biofertilizers production and the biofertilized farm ridges soil have concurrencies dependency coupling. However, by happenstance, these concurrency dependencies are readily removed with an interspersing of the subtasks of the two function tasks, and so implemented in the final sequencing of the subtasks, constituting rather a fine-tuning of the subtasks sequencing. With the implementation of the fine-tuned sequence subtasks, the farm is deemed startup, and the farmer may next turn the attention to the inception of farming. The conclusion that could be drawn here is that a farmer, whether using just the collection of subtasks as preferred or some variant augmented with additional tasks or modified with removal of some subtasks or a blend of partial augmentation and removal, can effectively get a subsistence farm into a state of standing operation and enjoy the benefits attendant of such state of farming. Consequentially, then, a subsistence farmer, having followed the prescribed actions in relation to the challenges of subsistence farming, will also at this time come away with a realization of the significance of the recommendations given this far. And it is a wrap-up. On that note, I say to you, thank you so much for having come to listen to this observation about efforts aimed at alleviating world hunger through subsistence farming by both urban dweller farmers and emerging country small farms farmers. You are truly appreciated, and if you would like to get privileged viewer reader information, access podcasts of specialized content, or even vertically integrated concepts, then I implore you to join my support club and enjoy that privilege status. Thank you. Moreover, while still here, do please take a moment and subscribe to the channel as to be informed of the publication of every new episode as soon as it is released. Bye till next episode.